summer visit. There she is. Lydia, Lydia, over here. Connie's voice sailed out above the airport crowd, drawing stares. Lydia turned and spotted her aunt. May's helmet of gray streaked hair stood out clearly, very tall and thin. She peered out over the head of the crowd like a distinguished knight surviving the ranks. Connie stood next to her, waving her arms. Lydia picked her way through the crowd and gave them each a hug. May tugged her braid. Oh, good, we've got you back for the whole summer. Connie scouted bags starting to fall out into the revolving bin. It's the red devil, Lydia said. The bag fell off the coot with a plop. Landing upside down, Connie fished it out as it moved slowly by. They passed the backpack, and forth 3 times before they reached the car. Lydia climbed in the front seat between her aunts. Emily's jumping like a toad. She's so eager to see you, said Connie. We set the dollhouse up on a table in your room. May said, we haven't to let anybody touch it, not even Emily or that imp Ivy, even though they backed and backed. It's waiting for you just the way you left it. Lydia pictured it. The dolls would be sitting in the living room, except for Cook in her rocker and the baby sleeping in the nursery. Had she left the Christmas decoration job, she'd spent much of her last visit making them with Emily, decked out with holly, a tree, and presents. The dollhouse had looked like a miniature Christmas card. As soon as they reached the house, Lydia headed upstairs. The dollhouse stood next to the window. The decorations were gone. She must have taken them down in January. The dolls were in place just as she remembered. Mr. and Mrs. Higgins sat on the living room sofa side by side. The children sat on the 2 armchairs looking at each other. If their faces could move, the older sister would be sticking her tongue out at her brother. Just then, the doorbell rang and Emily bounced up the stairs, 2 at a time. Eager as a puppy, she gave Lydia a quick hug, almost pushing her over. You are back. I hoped you'd come back. We've got the whole summer. I'm sorry, your father's sick again, though. Lydia nodded, embraced her. It was awkward every time someone mentioned his illness. Thanks, it's okay. He's getting better. She tried to sound surer than she felt. Emily rushed on. Want to play badminton? I set up the net as soon as I heard you were coming. I only played once before. It's easy. You just hit the birdie. She pulled one out of her pocket. It even has feathers. Tweet, tweet. The girls went downstairs and Lydia stopped by the kitchen to say where she was going. May was slicing onions. Tears ran down her face as she worked. Aunt May, are you alright? Lydia asked her. It's just the onions. Have fun. I might come out later and challenge you both. She sopped up the tail with the paper towel and waved goodbye. Lydia and Emily played until the shadow from the house covered the lawn. I better go in, Lydia said. I will come over after breakfast. Let's play with the dollhouse. Lydia waved goodbye and headed back through the trees to her aunt's house. Dinner was her favorite. Homemade pizza. As they ate, the aunts described their adventures in Greece during spring vacation. Since they both taught at the small college just outside of town, they had vacations free for travel. May taught math and Connie taught history. Aunt Connie told stories with big arm gestures and dramatics. We ended up in a tiny fishing village just before dinner. The inn was smaller than our kitchen, with one bedroom upstairs. They brought us a loaf of hot bread and bowls of stew. Tasty, but very chewy. We had no idea what was in it. So at the end of the meal, your Aunt May looked up a few words in the dictionary and asked the owner what it was. He took a little strip of a pencil from behind his ear and began to draw on the napkin, first a round head, then one long curved thing, then another. Well, by the time he drew in the third tentacle, my poor stomach began to twist and turn. Most rich followed as the ants tried to outdo one another. Lydia laughed so much she forgot all about her mother and father until Aunt Connie suggested she call home to say he's arrived safely. Have fun and don't forget to help, her mother said over the phone. May and Connie have their own work to do, you know, and for heaven's sake, stop worrying. Who's the mother and who's the daughter in this family anyway? They always joked about that. Her parents said that Lydia was more practitioner than either of them. Lydia put a goodnight kiss on the receiver before she hung up. I wish they were here, she told her aunts as they sat on the porch counting fireflies. Later, lying in her bed, she couldn't fall asleep. She tossed and turned, mangling the sheets till finally she had to get up and straighten the tangle. Then she lay with her arms folded behind her head and tried not to move at all. Soft and woof. Her aunt's voices drifted up from the porch. Finally, they came upstairs to bed. Aunt May hummed in the bathroom. Then Aunt Connie clicked off the hall lights and turned on the radio in her room. Lydia could hear only fragments of the music, not the full melody. After a while, the music stopped and the house was still, but Lydia was still wide awake. She climbed out of bed, tiptoed across the room, and knelt in front of the open wide. From her bedroom window at home, she could see a line of houses, each one just like the next, with little square yards in back, and and TV antenna jutting up from the roofs. But here the window looked out onto a maple tree with thick leaves whispering in the breeze. Through the branches, Lydia spied Emily's house. A light shone in the front bedroom. Someone also was still awake. The big tree reminded Lydia of her father. When their house back home was built, the developer left only a few bushes in the yard. What a fool! He cut down the trees, her father said. So what if the tree took 100 years to grow? Dig it up, move it out. Now look at it. No shade and no place for birds. He had bought new trees, skinny sapl, sapl, saplings with roots wrapped in burlap, maple, beech, linden, a line of birch along the back edge of the yard. At first they looked more like sticks than trees. He cared for them like babies, feeding them special fertilizer mixtures and watering them just enough and not too much, so that they grew tall and filled out. Someday they'll be as tall as the houses or maybe even taller. Who's taking care of the trees now? Lydia wondered. Mom won't remember now with working and going to the hospital every day to visit. The trees need extra water to make it through the summer. Mom should have let me stay. Finally, her eyelid dropped. She yawned. What a long day she'd started out back home, taken a plane all by herself, and now here she was in a different place altogether. She climbed back into bed and lay in the darkness for a few minutes, listening to the wind whisper in the tree. The next morning, Emily rang the doorbell just as Lydia was finishing breakfast. I hope I'm not too early, she said, taking the last muffin off the plate. If we are up, you are not too early, Aunt Connie said. Emily helped Lydia rinse the plates and load the dishwasher. Let's play with the dollhouse, she said. Lydia led the way upstairs. The dollhouse stood on the little table, waiting for them. Emily peered into a big room. It's just like I remembered. She picked up the hand-cranked Vic, stroller and put it to her ear as if she could hear its music. Whenever Lydia played with the dollhouse, she threw over her aunt and her mother playing with it when they were little girls. When even her grandmother had played with it. Let's rearrange the furniture, Emily suggested, and write a little of new stuff to make. Emily was always organized. The list got longer and longer. New rocks, bunk bed, a swing, new pictures for the parlor walls. Did your aunt tell you about the August fair? Emily asked. It's great. There are contests and rides and booths and lots of ribbons to win. Everybody enters something. Like what? Vegetables, animals, cakes, and pies. Anything you make or grow. I'm going to enter something from my part of the garden. Whichever vegetable does the best this summer. I don't have anything to enter, said Lydia. You will think of something. Just then, Aunt Connie called upstairs. It's too nice to play inside all day. Let's go to the lake. I'll pack a picnic. Can we take the dollhouse people? Emily asked Lydia. Lydia wrapped them in a towel and packed them carefully in the bottom of her knapsack. She took the parents, Mr. and Mrs. Higgins, and the two older children, Martina and William. The cook and the baby should stay home. Cook can make supper and have it ready for the other when they get back, she said. Poor Cookie, said Emily. We'll make her a special treat sometime. Lydia said, a party. Other cooks could come. Emily suggested, they'll make cake together, like in the night kitchen. But they'll eat it all themselves, said Lydia. Come on, you two. Aunt Connie called. She drove them out to the lake, then planted her canvas chair on the sand at the far edge of the swim area where it was less crowded and better for reading. After swim, she settled down with her book, a wide straw hat tilted over her eyes. Lydia and Emily left to themselves spread their towels by the rocks that rimmed the cove. First, they let the family have a picnic. Mr. Higgins lay back with his legs crossed. He looked a little silly in his dark suit. Mrs. Higgins sat primly upright. Her body was hard to bend. The children leaned against a piece of rock. They want to go climbing. Emily said, make them go on ahead. The parents won't know where they've gone, said Lydia. Emily moved the dolls up the rock face, reaching as high as she could. She settled both in the crack. Make the mother look for them, she said. Lydia got Mrs. Higgins to her feet. Where are those children? They were here just a minute ago. Charles, dear Charles, wake up. The children have disappeared. Lydia lowered her voice, making Emily giggle. Disappeared? Don't be foolish, dear. They must have wandered off. Call them back. Then, in a higher voice again, she said, Children, where are you, children? Now, what happened? Lydia asked in her own voice. Make the father climb the rocks, Emily suggested. Lydia moved him up the side of the boulder, posing at cracks and ledges. Oh, do be careful, she warned in Mrs. Higgins's high, nervous voice. Be quiet, dear. I'm trying to concentrate, said Mr. Higgins. Make the children call out so he knows where they are, said Lydia. Emily called, Help, father! We are over here. We can't get down. The little father, though, inched his way across the steep rock. Stay where you are, he said. Don't move one bit. How are we going to get them down? Lydia asked. Let the father go first and tell them where to put their feet, Emily instructed. Back on the safe sand, the father scolded. Never do that again. You were lucky this time, because you came and rescued us, said the girl, though. That's what fathers are for. Lydia made Mr. Higgins say. She stared at the little figure in her hand before putting him back on the blanket. Emily watched her, embraced that the subject of fathers had come up. That camp starts Monday, Emily said, changing the subject. Are you going? She nodded. You are too. My mother told your aunt about it and they signed you up. They haven't said anything yet, but I only just got here. Lydia said, What's it like? You swim and go on trips. If we get a good counselor, it'll be fun. The night before bed, Lydia wrote her father she'd promised to write at least once a week. Her mother had typed the address on an index card. Riverside Hospital. It doesn't look like hospital to Lydia, since people wore regular clothes and went out for walks all over the grounds. But she knew it was a research hospital, and even though some people were strong enough to go out walking, others who weren't responding as well to treatment were lying in bed or sitting in wheelchairs. If her father, Mike, responded to the new medicine, then he'd be out walking on the lawn too, and maybe he'd be coming home soon. Hi, Dad. The airplane ride was easy, no bumps. It's not as hot here as at home. Maybe because of all the trees outside my window is a huge maple. I bet it's 100 years old. I think it's a maple from the leaf. I didn't bring our tutti but I'm pretty sure. I went to the bench with Emily and Aunt Connie. We played with the dollhouse people. I'm going to day camp on Monday. Emily and Ivy are going too, so I guess it will be fun. I hope the medicine's working and you are roommate is nice. I wrote and tell you about camp. A football, kiss and hugs. Lydia, they camp disasters. At breakfast on Sunday, Aunt May explained, "We didn't have a chance to ask you about camp, but we went ahead with it because Emily was going. We only signed you up for the first session, 2 weeks. Do you mind? We thought it might be fun, at least for a while." "I tried," Lydia said. "If I don't like it, I quit. I hated camp myself." Aunt Connie sniffed. "Too organized." "It might be fun," Lydia said. "I was going to," Aunt May said. "Heaven help the counselor," said Aunt Connie. On Monday, Lydia walked to camp with Emily. She carried her bathing suit and towel rolled up together and held by a rubber band. Her lunch was in a brown paper bag. Emily had a beach bag with blue and green fish on it. "I went for a month last year," Emily said. She was kicking around Blackstone, trying to get it all the way to the playground. When they crossed the big street by the library, the stone rolled into the sewer. Ivy was waiting for them at the gate of the playground. "Hi, Lydia. Welcome back, Emily. Guess who's here? Leo and Johnny. They are in the Rangers. We are cicadas. Isn't that a dumb name?" Just then a whistle blew, and everyone in the playground funneled into the big gym. Lydia followed Emily and Ivy into the noisy hall on the right side, where the girls' groups were gathering. They spotted the Chickade sign. "It is a dumb name," Lydia agreed with Ivy, who was right in front of her as they threaded the single file through the crowd. "But it is better than the woodpeckers." She pointed to the name of the next group over. "Why are the girls all called stuff like bluebirds and robins? Why can't we be eagles or vultures or buzzards? Buzzards?" Ivy asked. "Or penguins? I wouldn't mind being a penguin." She began to waddle, holding her arms stiff by her sides. The chickens, counselor sat cross-legged on the floor beside the sign. When she smiled, her braces gleamed, but she didn't smile much. She looked as if she'd rather be somewhere else. Miss Linda, her name tag read. She made red checks on her clipboard when they told her their names. Maybe her braces hurt, Lydia thought. When everyone had arrived, Miss Linda told them the plans. "First, we go out to the field and play games. Then there's kickball until lunch. We eat back here. After lunch, we'll hike to the pool and cool off, she said. Lydia left her lunch bag next to Emily's and followed the crowd into the hot sun. Sitting in another circle, this time on the grass, the chickens made up name chants. Annie, Annie, for Benny, Fifi for Fanny, Annie. Emily, Emily for Family, Fifi for Family, Emily. Pat, Pat for Pat, Fifi for Fat, Pat. Lydia, Lydia, Bo, Lydia, Fe, Fe, Fifo, Fedia, Lydia. Then they played the cookie jar. Then another gave me the gestures. Kick ball, main field, called the camp director. A chubby woman with a baseball cap and a whistle around her neck. I'd like to lie down onto that tree over there, said Ivy, panting and pink in the face. When's lunch? Lydia asked. Half an hour more. And at least then we get to sit inside the floor for jocks. Did you bring any? Ivy asked. I did, said Emily. Shake a leg, girls, called Miss Linda. She was just sitting in the shade by the side of the field, fanning herself with her sun visor. And finally, the whistle blew for lunch. The campers crowded into the main hall. Emily and Ivy found their lunch right away, but Lydia's bag was missing. I put it right next to yours, she said to Emily. Tell Miss Linda. Miss Linda only said, look again. She didn't even get up to help. Lydia walked around the edge of the auditorium. Her stomach rumbled. She wished she could go home to her aunt's right now. Finally, in a corner next to some volleyballs, she spotted her lunch bag. Aunt Connie had written Lydia in black marker. The egg salad sandwich was squished flat and someone had stolen her brownie. Even her plum had a gaping bite in its side. Blinking back tears, Lydia found her way back to the chickcase and sat down. Ivy handed her container of chocolate milk and a straw. They gave these out while you were gone. Somebody stole my brownie and wrecked my sandwich. Lydia showed her friends. Yuck, said Emily. Throw it out, she offered. Lydia half of her sandwich, peanut butter and mint jelly. Mint jelly? I don't like grape. Lydia took a bite. She was just so hungry that she didn't care that she bite. But she spluttered when she sipped the milk. Warm from standing too long, it was as thick as medicine. Lydia wiped her mouth. How long before we go home? About 30 more hours, Emily said. Cheer up, we are going swimming now, said Ivy. At least we'll cool off. Lydia thought she was just still hungry. Stay together, cicadas. We are after the bluebirds. I don't want any strays. Miss Linder said. Lydia felt like sticking out her tongue. To reach the pole, they had to climb long steps, winding back and forth up a steep hill. The air was murky, thick, scratched bushes crowded the sides of the path, hiding places for the clouds of mosquitoes that bit their arms and legs and wind in their ears. Wind in their ears. Finally, at the top of the hill, the pool gleamed bright turquoise through the fence. After they passed through the tunnel, a girl handed them each a metal locker key on the white elastic band that fit on a wrist or ankle. Emily led the way into the good locker room. They changed quickly. Lydia felt embarrassed for a second, but everyone else was changing too. She pulled on her green tank suit and locked her clothes in the rusty metal locker. Outside, the chickens gathered around Miss Linda, who sat on her tower by the edge of a shell, swallow, shallow section. shadow가 아니라 shallow. She was spreading suntan oil over her bulky legs. She's going to sit on that towel all afternoon, Lydia thought. She won't even stick a toe in the water. Stay in the hollow end. If you pass the swimming test next week, you can go into the deep end and use the diving board. Miss Linda waved away their complaints. That's the rule. That's just the way it is, she said. Lydia, Emily, and Ivy headed toward the other side of the pool where they wouldn't smell Miss Linda's coconut suntan oil. The swallow end of a week, Ivy formed. I hid her. Emily tried to be cheerful. We can play shark or swim underwater, or we could practice our swimming. I had camp, said Ivy. She kicked the water angrily, making high splashes that sparkled in the sun. Lydia and Emily copied her, trying to keep the water higher and higher. They began to giggle, then to laugh until they couldn't stop, churning the water and soaking everyone near them. Hey, you three sillies, Miss Linda called. Calm down. You are acting like nuts. Three sillies, she called us. Ivy said, still giggling. She closed her eyes and stuck out her tongue. One hand was on her hip, the other on her head. I'm the first silly. Second, called Emily, stretching her mouth with her fingers as she bent her knees out and wiggled her band. Lydia hesitated for only a moment. Dude, she said. She tied her braid under her chin like a beard, pulled her ears out to the side, and blew up her cheeks like balls. Thursday, the second day of camp, was hot and muggy again. They went swimming in the morning, even this early in the day. The water was lukewarm. The concrete was cold, though, and the shadows from the tree round the fence left only a small patch of sun to sit in. Miss Linda and the other counselors spread their towels there. Then, when she was changing in the damp dressing room, Lydia dropped her underpants into the puddle on the floor. She fished them out quickly, but they were wet and gray from the dirty water. She had to wear her shorts with nothing underneath, and she worried all afternoon that someone would notice. Lydia, Ivy, and Emily stuck together all day. Miss Linda kept on calling them to three sillies. Three was a good number for friends as long as two didn't gang up on the other. And there is a perfect number for Jacks. They played again on the smooth floor of the big hall. Emily and Ivy had a set with a dark gray solid metal jacket and a smooth red ball. Don't get those plastic jacks, Emily warned. They are too light. They don't fall right when you throw them, and they are hard to catch. Get the good kind. Lydia nodded. She planned to ask her aunt that evening. She had money that her mother had given her. When Lydia got home from camp, there was a letter on the hall table, a blue envelope dotted with tiny, teeny white stars, like the sky at night, but not as dark. She recognized her mother's writing and checked to see if it had a hint of her perfume, but it smelled only paper and glue. Her mother had printed the letter so Lydia would have no trouble reading it. Her script usually spilled forward, with each letter crowding the next, as if the letters had tipped like dominoes. The printed letters stood straight and even much more legible, but not as pretty. Lydia's sweetheart, I was glad to hear you'd arrived safety and hadn't been kidnapped by a lonely millionaire who wanted you to come and be his rich daughter. No such luck, but right? We miss you. Daddy's feeling a little better. The treatment knocks him out, but he bounced back. Sometimes he feels strong enough to go forwards. He says the hospitals are boring and all everyone does is watch the TV. Write to him, honey. It will cheer him up. May mentioned they camp over the phone. I hope it's more fun than I remember. It's terribly hot here. Yesterday I took full bath trying to stay cool. Take a swim in the lake for me and climb to the top of the big pine next to the sun porch. Give May and Connie my love, and be a sweet, good girl like always. A million kisses plus 100 butterfly kisses and 100 Eskimo kisses. Love, Mom. Lydia lived to give butterfly kisses. You put your face up close and fluttered your eyelashes against someone's cheek. She tried one on the back of her hand. The light, nervous movement tickled. It rained on Wednesday, so the campers couldn't go swimming or play outside. Instead, a string of yellow school buses lined up at the curb. We are going to Natural History Museum, announced the camp director. Stay with your group, everyone. It's a big place and we don't want anyone to get lost. If you do, you might be history. She laughed at her own joke. Lydia squeezed into a seat together with Emily and Ivy. As soon as the bus started to roll, a few campers began to sing. Soon everyone joined in, singing at the top of their lungs all the way to the museum. The songs were about bus wheels, sailors, peanuts, and bottles of beer. Lydia picked up the woods easily. The besiegers lumbered through the rainy street like a line of elephants holding tails, and finally parked in the museum driveway. Two large stone bears guarded the door to the museum. Stay together, reminded Miss Linda. She led them up the stairs. We'll start with the animal exhibits, then visit Indian ruins and the prehistoric wing. Lydia followed the group down a dim hallway into the first room. Woodland animals, beavers pursued by a half-finished dam, a fox and her cubs nestled in their den. Deer stood aimed thorns and trees, and the raccoon washed his food in a brick. At first glance, the dioramas looked lifelike, but Lydia noticed that the paint on the background was peeling and some of the animals' fur had fallen out in spots, like dogs with skin disease or teddy bears that had been left barred. They were all dead. Lydia shivered. She hoped they'd leave soon. This place made her sad. Even the guards looked faded and worn. Miss Linda watched the chickade from room to room, never asking if they were tired or bored. Leo and Junie went by with their group and called to Ivy and Emily. Wait until you see the Indians summer. Nick Leo grinned. Yes, said Johnny with a smirk. Tee tee. Finally, it was time to go back to camp. But the bus was hot and stuffy. None of the windows opened. The ride seemed twice as long as it had that morning. First, Lydia began to feel sweaty. Her head was hot and her eyes ached. Then the dizzy feeling came, and her stomach turned. Oh no, she thought she was just sitting on the very last seat between her friends, and she had to push her way to the front of the bus. Miss Linda, I'm going to throw up. Throw up, she said. Can't you hold it? Miss Linda said. Lydia shook her head. After one look at Lydia's green face, Miss Linda tapped the driver on the shoulder. Sicky, she said. The driver scrawled but pulled over. Lydia managed to hold on until the doors opened. Then she leaned out and was very sick. Miss Linda made her sit right beside her the rest of the trip. Behind her, the other campers kept on singing while she huddled in the front seat feeling green. Back at camp, she walked around outside until she felt better. Then she joined the group and even ate some of her lunch. Ivy was missing. Where is she? Lydia asked Emily. Somebody took her lunch. She's trying to find it. Ivy returned just then, scrawling. My mother put cookies in that lunch. Butterscotch chocolate chip. I'm going to find the thief. I am mad. Some creeps eating my cookies right this minute. Have the rest of my sandwich. I'm still not very hungry, Lydia said. Ivy took a bite, then kept planning. We've got to set a trap. Leo and Jenny will help. A trap? Lydia asked. You know something that the thief will steal? A fake lunch. They put red dye on the money that they give to bank robbers. Then the red stuff gets all over them and everybody knows that they are the robbers. Emily said, That's an idea, but where can we get the dye? I was asked. Emily shrugged. We could use food coloring. Lydia suggested. Keep thinking of a plan. We'll have a meeting, said Ivy. After lunch, the whole camp watched the cartoons on a movie screen in the front of the hall. Can you see? Emily whispered. Not very well. Teeny figures raced frantically around the small screen. Let's play jacks in the corner, Emily suggested. Talking in whispers, they played until the cartoons were over and it was time to go home. Was it always going to be like this? Lydia asked Emily. I'd have more fun staying home with my aunt. Don't stay home, said Emily. We wouldn't get to play with you. We wouldn't be the three sillies, Ivy added. So the night when Aunt May said, How's your camp? Lydia answered, It's okay. But she told the truth in a letter to her father. July 9th. Dear Dad, camp stink, stinks. It's the worst place I've ever been. At least I only have to go for one more week. I lost my understanding one day. Somebody stole my lunch. Then I got sick on the bus. They had to stop and wait while I threw up. I'd like to quit, but I promised Emily and Ivy that I'd keep going. So don't tell anybody how bad it is, okay? I bet even the hospitals are more fun than they can. Hugs and kisses. Lydia.